using the dome screen, how we're using the projections in Soarin is incredible.
Say it because I know you've been wanting to say it. Patrick
Before-
Warburton, talk about it.
It
You
is
sound like you're talking some
It is
smack.
the best ride to take a nap on. It's the best ride to take a nap on. I can go down the street to the local fair
I
and
can
hear
go
about
ride
Farm Lab.
Pandora and not get the same thing.
Do you know how many dark boat water rides there are in the world?
No,
Clearly,
I
Soarin'.
got a little heated.
The better ride.
I got a little heated. Got to calm down a little bit.
We
I
had to take a break. Take a break.
This podcast was brought to you by the Magic Candle Company. Relive your favorite theme park memories through the magical sense of smell. Receive 15% off at checkout by using discount code DEBATE and help our channel in the process.
Welcome, everybody, to Diz or That, a Disney debate podcast. Welcome to episode number 11. My name is Justin.
And I'm Chris, and yeah, we are on 11. You know, I thought we may hit 10. I didn't think we would get past 10. So we're here. We're doing it. We are on month 3 at this point, right?
3. We started in March. We're now into
March.
May.
We are into May. So we are really pushing it now. Now, I think we have something.
Yeah, hopefully we're settling into the format. Hopefully we're understanding what we're doing. We've made subtle upgrades here or there. We keep tweaking things.
I think so. I think we've
got a lot of good feedback.
Good feedback from all 12 of the listeners. So
all 12 of you, mom, dad.
We
your
appreciate
mom, your dad.
you. We appreciate. Oh, my mom's not listening, unfortunately.
Our dads aren't listening. Who are we
no,
kidding?
no. Maybe your mom is. Maybe we got her.
You know what? She did tell me that she listened to the Pirates episode, and then she's like, I gotta catch up. How many have you done now?
Yeah.
And it's like quite a few. Thanks, Ma.
Thanks
Love
for the support. Well, it is a lot. It's a commitment. It's an hour. It's an hour of talking. I wouldn't want to listen to myself talk for an hour, but I know there's at least a few people that do. So
we have the numbers that prove it. So even if you just put it on and you turn off your speakers just to give us that support, we do appreciate ya. And everybody following us on Instagram too. And with that being said, make sure to follow us at Diz or That Pod. We put up a lot of fun polls, and I've been kicking butt in those polls. Sorry, Chris. I
think we've some glimmer of hope recently. Things are looking better.
You had one or two.
Things are looking better.
Things
are looking better. So, no thanks to me, but I think we're picking up some good battles, giving some people some real tough choices. So
yes, and we've definitely got a lot of those messages that people are very upset with some of this stuff. It's like picking two children, and that's kind of the point. That's why we put some of these things together.
I think we've made some really good head versus what's it called? Head versus head? No, that's not right.
PvP?
No,
head versus tails.
We've had a good topics head to head. I don't know. We've made them work. I think we've had some really good this versus that. Kind of thing.
I think there have been a lot of smart ones, a lot of ones that are maybe like expected, the big heavy hitters like the Pirates versus Haunted Mansion.
We did start off with some big heavy ones.
We did.
We quickly went into Brink Johnny Tsunami. Some
deep cut stuff. And then you got some weird ones, man, like the first Star Wars battle that we did where we did Rise of the Resistance versus Smuggler's Run.
That was a fun one. And
it's kind of similar to what we're doing today. Because today is taking place all at Epcot, all within the Land Pavilion. We're going Soarin' versus Living with the Land. Now, I don't think this was on anybody's Diz or That bingo card, right? Like, I don't think this is one that people would go, yeah, those are two comparable things. They're right next to each other. They're in the same pavilion. But
I put a lot of thought into what would go well. We've talked about Soarin' versus other things like Avatar, right? That
the natural choice.
Naturally, you think, but I really think these are very comparable while very different experiences.
I would agree.
I think they both have a very big cult following, each one.
Yeah.
Each one has some mega fans. So I think it just makes sense to have these go against each other. And they're also, again, both Epcot. They're both in the Land Pavilion. They're both really good experiences. I think when people think about Epcot, these have been around for years. So so it works, and I'm going to be taking Live in the Land. I did not know about this until I met my wife.
Living with the Land, like in general, you did not know about this?
This was not a ride I would have went on at any point in my life.
Did you like go to Epcot and then she was like, we have to go on this, and that's how you found out? Or was this like early conversations?
No, it
dating
was
Katie.
I probably figured this out the first time I went to Disney with Katie, that this was an experience. Soarin', I probably definitely did Soarin' when I was younger.
It was they made a big splash.
Yeah,
when they
it was
first
a big one.
Soarin'. It was a big deal. Yeah.
I know you're going to bring him up, but the Patrick Warburton, it was,
we're talking.
Yeah, they made it. They made it. But I never did Living in the Land. I didn't know what it was. And then Katie's like, this is my favorite ride of all time.
Was that legit what she said? Was it legit her favorite ride of all time?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay.
I think it still is.
One of those?
No, I think it still is. This is a big one. This is a big one for her. But I didn't know about it. And then I went on it, and not to jump right in, but I think this is this ride is the epitome of Epcot. This is Epcot. It fits so well into what Epcot is, the feeling of Epcot, the experience of Epcot, that I can't think of a better ride that really fits the experience of the park.
Yeah, I can think of a few. Soarin' being one of them.
I don't agree. It's the land. Why are you in the air?
Well, because you're watching the land. You have to look at the land, right? Like that's like we're appreciating the land from up above, right? I think, if we're talking about epitome of Epcot, I think, and this is like kind of a point for you, kind of a point against you, right? I'm not gonna take anything away from Living with the Land, but I think if I'm thinking about epitome of Epcot experiences, it's hard to beat Spaceship Earth. It's just hard to beat Spaceship Earth. And I think that there are a lot of similarities between Living with the Land and Spaceship Earth.
Yeah, I mean,
and I think that kind of like plays into that Epcot-ness of it. But I think Epcot was meant to be a lot more than just that sort of standard dark ride sort of experience. And like, I'll let you have your moment in the sun right now to talk about Living with the Land a little bit more in those comments. But I think Soarin' speaks a little bit heftier to sort of the mission of Epcot overall.
I don't agree. I think Epcot is about learning. It's about experience. It's about our past and future.
And it's not about advancement?
It's about advancement. There's no advancement in Soarin'.
Yeah, absolutely there is. That is the most that is one of the most revolutionary ride systems of all time.
Maybe 20 years ago.
Yeah, exactly.
Living with the Land is still focused on
Living with the Land is very much based on ride systems and ride technology of the past. It wasn't anything
ride systems, but not the actual ride itself. I mean, so you start off with kind of the past, but the whole thing is about what the new technologies that they're developing for sustainability, for farming, for hydroponics.
What does the ride do? Other than
that
talk
is
about
the
things.
point of the ride.
It's
education. The ride itself isn't, but it's a whole educational experience.
Yeah, and I mean they could have done that very easily in just like an actual just room in a pavilion, right? I would almost rather, because there is the VIP tour thing that you can do with Living with the Land. Mm-hmm. I would rather do that all day. And I'm not talking smack about Living with the Land.
You sound like you're talking some
It is
smack.
the best ride to take a nap on. It's the best ride to take a nap on. I'll give you that 1,000,000%.
All right.
But if I kind of want a little bit more of this like educational experience, the VIP to Living with the Land, I think is like the way that ride, the way that experience should be done.
For some people that might be, yeah. But you get it all.
Having
also,
the passive experience in the dark on a boat ride, I just don't think is as educational.
It's not really. It's only in the dark in the beginning. And then
I mean, for
you
most
go
of
past
it,
the grill. The food that they're using, the food that they're growing is being used at Epcot fooderies.
And it's a very small percentage. When you look at that, it is an extremely small percentage.
Of course,
there's a
but
lot of
that's interesting.
Lot of
that's
myth
fun
behind that as well. So I don't know how legit all of that is.
It's still happening. It's still happening. It is still very legit.
Very limited capacity, but it's almost like it's a. But it just feels
okay.
A little
but
fake. It feels a little false.
It doesn't need to be the entire. They're not growing farms and farms. In the amount of people they feed there, it's fun though, as in they can incorporate the ride into the park.
Sure, I 100%.
How does Soarin' do that?
Soarin was invented to prop up and hype up California for California Adventure, right? The original version of that, right? It speaks so well to the rest of the park too, right? If we're talking about Soarin' over the world, and you're at a park that literally half of the park, if not more than, I don't even know if the square footage is more of World Showcase than the rest of the park, but like so much of the park is about discovering other regions of the world, other nationalities, learning about culture. That gives you such a
that's
good
why we
primer.
have World Showcase. We don't need.
But how are you going? Chris, you just flew how far to the other, not the other side of the world, but you just flew to Germany to go see some landscapes that like you don't get to experience at Epcot. The only way that you could experience some of these amazing castles that the Disney castles were based on is to go on this ride. It is such an immersive experience that, like, for some people, that's the closest you're going to get.
It is, unless you're in the top right.
Sure.
And then everything is kind of
But if you're in the
bent.
back of the boat and you got like 4 kids in front of you, right? It can also be ruined
doesn't
that
happen.
way too.
No,
it absolutely does happen. I just watched ride footage of a crying baby on one of these rides. Like, it really ruins the experience, right?
A crying baby should have done it again. That could
I'm
happen on Soarin'. At Soarin', you have kids crying because they don't want to go too high.
But what I'm getting at is that any ride experience can be ruined by any one of these little minor things.
But that is part of the ride.
A crying child on Soarin' is actually going to be way less intrusive than a crying child on Living with the Land.
But that is completely out of Disney's control. That's completely out of it.
Yeah, and that's why I'm saying this is a moot point. But that's why I'm arguing this is a moot point.
The viewpoint is built into the ride. If you're on the top right, you're getting bendy towers.
Again, just like being in the back of the boat or in the middle of the boat on Living with the Land, you're going to have an obstructed view. The best way to ride Living with the Land is
the views are on the sides view, not in the view. The views are on the sides. A lot of it's in the front.
Let's be real, dude. When you enter that dome, come on, man. That view, if you're right up in the front, that is a gorgeous, amazing view.
Sure, but you still see everything fine.
It's less fun, dude.
It's immersion breaking if you're, again, in those top right, top left.
I really think one thing that can help Living with the Land is just getting rid of the canopy. I get that it's kind of like a unique little thing for that ride, for that boat, but the canopy was only there, I believe,
disagree.
Because there used to be like a waterfall or like a rain effect or something, so it kind of kept you covered from that. But it doesn't work anymore. It's not there anymore. So I think they need to get rid of it, and that would help out tremendously.
I think that's it's fine. I mean,
we all have our points, I think is what we're getting at. There's all little things on these things. There are optimal seats and there are non-optimal seats. I don't want to downplay the curvy nature of the Eiffel Tower. I'm not here to mask that. I'm not here to not agree with you on that, because it's there. We've experienced it. Even when you're kind of close to the center, it can be pretty bad. It's a weird choice for them too, I think. Like, as much as you want to put in some France iconography in there and make sure that that's a part of it, it is like, are we going to choose the one thing that's going to look crazy distorted? Like,
it was an odd choice for that.
Yeah,
because that is the most noticeable. That's what you see posted online all the time.
It is bad.
The curvy Eiffel Tower.
It does not look great. There's, I don't know if there's anything that can be done. I think at this point that ride system is kind of in there. The dome screen is in there. They can upgrade the projectors, but you can't upgrade how it's projecting. Like, that's just, you would have to rebuild the ride, do all that again. Totally understand. But there's a level of like immersion breaking that I don't have to, like, I can let that go because so much of the ride feels natural and feels like you're soaring over whatever land you're a part of. It's very similar to like when you're going through Living with the Land and you see the animatronic goat and he's not moving super smooth. Like, I can just suspend my disbelief and go.
Those are charming. I mean, you're looking at animatronics that are very old.
And that's kind of the same thing I feel like with the Eiffel Tower and the projection technology. It's not going to look like Avatar.
Living with the Land is a day one ride. That was open when Epcot opened.
Well,
so that was
okay. So Soarin' over California was like day one for California Adventure. I don't know. Doesn't mean too much. Like,
yeah, I mean, this was part of their vision, part of their initial vision.
Sure. They could have upgraded it a little bit. I mean, do we not feel that Soarin' could have been, if the ride technology was available to them, would it not have been an opening day attraction? If they were able to make that ride happen, that is 1,000%.
They took an IMAX theater and made movie seats.
They made the first flying movie theater, right? The first suspended movie theater with a dome screen, and we can't downplay the dome screen as much as we are kind of dogging on it.
Now you can go do this at Niagara Falls.
Do you know how many dark boat water rides there are in the world?
Oh,
do you know how many man, I can go down the street to the local fair and hear about Farm Lab.
Pandora and not get the same thing.
Yeah, we're not.
It's a different experience. These are very different experiences that you're getting.
Yes, absolutely.
Saying it may be a cool tech, but it's an old tech now,
and so is
it's
living
used
with the
everywhere.
Land.
It holds up better. It holds up better.
I don't think it holds up better.
I think it holds up better. Just like animatronics hold up better than CGI and things like that.
I don't always agree with that either. I don't always agree with that. It's very case by case basis. It's not 100% there. It's how things are being implemented, because we wouldn't say that like animatronics are just inherently better when you look at a ride like Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway. Like, no way. Those projections on there are incredible, and it's all about how you use them in the ride, right? How we're using the dome screen, how we're using the projections in Soarin' is incredible. It's very, very unique. At least, it was when they've had copycat rides since, but like very, very unique. Where like, I can't say that the uniqueness of Living with the Land was there even when the ride came out. Pirates is a thing, and Pirates is done to the nth degree, more so than Living with the Land is.
Yeah, it's different though. Pirates isn't an Epcot ride. Epcot, it's an educational experience.
Sure,
you're learning about it's education. I mean, it's giving an environmental message.
Yeah, I mean, they were educating us on pirate life as well. No,
I don't know about that. We're not going to talk about what was going on when they first opened that and the crazy stuff going on there. So I think in this way, it probably does hold up better than the original Pirates.
It would be funny to see like some video of Walt talking about Living with the Land, like he's talking about all the characters in Pirates and some of those like early concept behind the scenes stuff, where he's saying a lot of stuff that ain't PC by today's standards.
I don't know. They got that dog in Living with the Land. Little fun thing I learned today. The dog, basically the same model that they use for Carousel of Progress.
Okay. Oh, it's the same dog. Okay.
And same one that they have in Pirates of the Caribbean.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. I know exactly what now that you say that. I know exactly what you're talking about.
There's an idea that came that was based on Walt's dog, which is why it's so personal to the Imagineers or something like that.
That makes sense. There's a lot of, and I mean, it just makes sense too with the rate that like even later Imagineers are having to pump things out. It just makes sense to reuse things you've already like done. So I get that. There's so many. I think there's a bunch of presidents like in. I think there's a few in Haunted Mansion, but I know that there's like George Bush or somebody is in Spaceship Earth and like
the model
stuff like that.
You're right. In the turning heads, right?
Yes.
Didn't they use presidents or something?
There's a
President
bunch of
head
stuff
models
like
for
that.
The turning heads.
There's a bunch of, I think there's some, just reworked ghoulish makeup on some president heads and things. There's just a lot of interesting stuff like that. I'm pretty sure the Hatbox Ghost face mold has been used several times over again, and I'm sure we'll continue to do that. I'm sure it's more of an Easter egg kind of thing. I think they're probably doing it a little more on purpose, but yeah, the presidents was a big one because they had to make, how many presidents at the time that they opened that? That's a lot of face molds. You can reuse some of those for like.
It was quite a bit. Even the ones you think they could have skipped over a few. There's a few that they didn't really need to do. They could have just said the name and then moved over, but they did go all out for that.
They kind of had to. They were very committed, very, very committed. They took the Abraham Lincoln thing and they went with it. Makes sense. Makes sense.
And then and now it's just a political mess in there.
Yeah, it's not an area I think we will be touching anytime soon. That is for sure.
It is a political mess in that room. I loved it when I first went on it. I did.
Yeah, it's very interesting.
Now I really don't like going on it because I don't want to hear the howls or the boos.
It's just weird. Right?
It is so
it just feels weird. Yeah.
It is so strange and weird that is happening.
Yeah.
But those are that kind of people.
It's I think that's a whole other thing for a whole other day. We could probably go on an hour discussion on the future of that attraction.
Of the Hall of Presidents. I
don't know. Just don't know. But
I don't know where they would go with that as things become more polarizing to people.
Turn it into a dark water boat ride where they have some plants growing. I don't know.
They could do that. It's also you put people in a big crowd and you feel, not that there's ever a big crowd in there, but you put people in a big group in the dark and people feel like they can get away with a little bit more. If you're on a boat, if you did a dark ride or a boat ride or something, I think you'd have less of that. You'd have less of it. You just want to have that.
Fair enough. Fair
enough. No one needs to impress their wife next to them, and scream at the animatronics. So
maybe we could strap some like hang gliders to those animatronics, ride them through Soarin. I think that'd be fun. I think that'd be a good reuse for those, huh? Be neat to have. You
tried to pull that together. I guess so. Maybe. I am. Maybe not the presidents. Maybe
I'm
not the presidents.
I'm trying to bring it back to this fight because I think you're avoiding me right now. Because
no, I got a little heated.
The better ride.
I got a little heated. Got to calm down a little bit. So I
had to take a break.
I had to take a break. So just go say it because I know you've been wanting to say it, and I'm gonna have you get this out right now. Patrick Warburton, talk about it.
Oh no! You
can't use that as your Trump. That's
I get to decide when I want to talk about Mr. Patrick or not. But we'll talk about Mr. Patrick. I mean, come on, my friend. He just returned recently to go do some more stuff with Soarin'. Cool. And that just leads to believe like maybe he's recording some more stuff for a future update. Maybe something else is going on. But his voice, silky smooth. It's one of the best narrations in all of Disney, and Disney has amazing narrations. But like he fits right up there with the most iconic narrations in Disney history. I don't think anybody can argue that. Like I think that's pretty standard. And if we're gonna be playing this comparison game right now, man, I'm sorry, but like Living with the Land did itself a real disservice when they got rid of the actual like skipper of the boat. I don't know what they were called, like the tour guide sort of element to it, and just went with the pre-recorded voiceover. If we're not going to do something that's at the level and the heights that some of the other pre-recorded voiceovers are, I love the live action in person.
What's another one? What like People Mover? Are you saying that's a better voiceover?
I'm saying if you Haunted Mansion. Like there's a million other Neil Patrick Harris has done a ton of voiceover work for Disney, like for the theme park rides. Like there's so many.
Well, so has my guy that does Living in the Land, who also did the People Mover. And if you're not saying that's iconic, then get out of here.
I'm saying that the People Mover is iconic, but I don't necessarily know if I'm really taking away the narration of it the same way like I am in Haunted Mansion. I don't know if we can put those two on the same level. Sorry, People Mover, love you to death, but like I don't know if we can do that.
Do you not agree? It's different, but I'm also
his argument's always it's different.
It is different. Haunted Mansion's different. It's different.
All these rides are different.
It's old. You have a voice of a holiday movie. I mean, it's.
Sure. And everybody has the option to have something similar. People Mover is great. I think there's so many fun, iconic lines on the People Mover. The People Mover is a great, enjoyable experience, just like Living with the Land. I'm not taking anything away from that, but I think
I'm saying it's not
the voiceover narration is a little stronger on other attractions.
You have really good, calm, nice voice, and that's what I'm looking for on a ride like Living with the Land.
Isn't it so much more fun to have that interaction between you and like a live person who's actually doing the narration?
It would be. If I got that on Soarin' too, then that would be great.
But Soarin' is a different ride where you're not really learning anything, right? It's not really an educational ride.
It definitely is not an educational ride.
I think one of the best parts of the Jungle Cruise is the fact that you have a skipper there actually kind of talking, interacting, improving. I think that is something that Living with the Land really, really needs.
That's also their ride. I mean, it's a different experience. If you have a guy on a boat telling jokes is different than someone explaining what's going on.
But this is how, if we're talking about day one attractions and how they envision this, and this is what they envision for Epcot, the ride started with the skipper. Like the ride started with the person on there. And then for cost reasons, they got rid of them to put a voiceover in. I think it's a much stronger ride.
Environmental reasons. It was costing too much. People were getting hurt.
Environment.
It was just not okay. It's not okay.
Sure. Well, why can we do it for Jungle Cruise, but not for this?
And why can't we have Patrick Warburton there all the time?
Oh, I would love it. I would kill for it. I would pay 3 times the ticket price. But we can't, right? And he's just a small portion of that ride.
And he's more a part of the queue.
He's more a part of the queue. That's pre-ride. Totally fair. That's pre-show. It's not sort of built in and baked into the actual ride itself.
It's the safety briefing.
Yeah. And it's great. They did it perfectly. It's awesome. But what I'm saying is, I think they could have done a little bit more with Living with the Land. I think Living with the Land is a great ride. It's taken on a lot of new popularity again. I don't want to say it's taken on new popularity because it's like memeable or anything. I think in some people's minds that's how it went. But I do think it's a solid ride. I do think it's a great ride.
I think it may have started off like that. I think it may have turned like that. And now it's like, oh yeah, there's actually some merit in that. You get the mix of a nice, ultimately quiet in 99% of cases. Nice little boat ride. You get to see some pretty flowers. You get to see some cool vegetables. You get to have some nice animatronics up front. So it's not just one thing all the time. You get to see a lot of fish.
Sure, there's a lot of fish. Yeah,
an insane amount of fish.
A ride can only win if there is over a certain threshold of
there's live fish
for Christopher. Yes.
Yeah, there's live fish, and I don't say that about any ride. Finding Nemo.
He's a little upset at how many CG fish there are in that ride. That does not meet his quota for the number of fish that he needs.
I just don't think it's done well.
I think we're going to get there. I definitely think we're going to be fighting that at some point. Because I got some good things to say about that ride. And I think we could probably pair it up with something that we could fight over, but for another day, right?
Maybe. I don't know if I even want to touch that one, honestly. We'll see. At some point, it's going to have to happen when we run out of ideas. We'll have to talk to our
producer. We'll discuss
maybe episode 13 if we ever get there. Then maybe we'll see.
If we ever get there. Yeah, this is it, man. This one is one of the more heated ones that we've done, 100%. And you know what I think will help calm us down, Chris? You know what I think helps calm us down when our arguments are getting just a little too hot? You got to spark up one of those magic candles, man. Whether you want... Oh, God.
Oh.
It's not from the magic candles.
No, it's not.
We swear.
All right. Cut to Magic Candle Company.
Okay, there you go. Let's learn more about the Magic Candle Company.
I was going to spray that, and then I had to sneeze.
Magic Candle Company themed fragrances allow you to capture the smell of your most cherished vacation memories. Set sail on a swashbuckling pirate adventure. Transport back to the tropical atmosphere of a beautiful South Pacific themed resort. Relive the excitement of a fun-filled day spent on your favorite dark water rides. Soar above a California orange grove. Embark on an exotic river cruise adventure. Recall that first bite of your favorite frozen pineapple treat. Escape to your favorite rocking chair overlooking a murmuring creek as you soak in the splendor of the great outdoors. Enjoy the scent that's beloved by foolish mortals and happy haunts alike. Or even recapture the nostalgic aroma of being a kid again, watching your favorite Saturday morning cartoons. All of this and more is just a click away. Visit MagicCandleCompany.com and escape to your happy place today.
Receive 15% off. Discount code DEBATE.
Back to living with the land.
We love them. 15% off. Use that code debate. And let's dive right back into it. Chris, what else do you got, my friend? All right, you just made me blow one of my trump cards, Patrick Warburton, but
I did that on purpose because
what do you got?
More on the ride. I just think it's a good ride. I think that's all. I think that's the most important thing is that it's enjoyable. It's cool. It's air conditioned, similar to Soarin. I'll give that one too.
They are both air conditioned.
Air conditioned rides. So that's fun. I like being cool on a ride. It's the longest ride in Disney, I think. It's 15 minutes.
It's pretty long. Just literally watching the ride footage before this, it took a while, man.
It's a long ride. It's a long ride. There's enough variation. What I do like is that it's kind of a different experience if you ride it during the day versus riding at night. It's really cool riding it.
It's a subtle difference
in the dark. I'll give you that. Also very nice riding it around certain times of year, such as Christmas, when everything is all like light up and up. They theme it very Christmassy. That's really fun.
One of the only themings that you really get at Disney World. You don't get many around the holidays and things, but that is definitely one of them. So gotta give you credit there, man.
There's not a lot of other. The only other ride I think that does a Christmas theming is Jungle Cruise.
That makes sense. I would love to see the holiday version of Haunted Mansion, but I know that Disney is very big on not making these things super different, just because, again, this is not necessarily a locals park. This is more of a once-in-a-lifetime vacation park.
People go there. They want the original experience, right?
I get it. I understand, but it would be nice to see more variation. So it is nice that Living with the Land has some level of variation. So that's
nice. A lot of hidden Mickeys.
Good.
A lot of hidden Mickeys.
There are a lot of hidden Mickeys.
So your eyes are constantly looking.
Yeah. They're constantly looking for those circles.
They are. I'm always looking for the hidden Mickeys. We always point it out. You have people that can cause a ruckus on the ride by getting out and doing things they shouldn't do.
Is that a thing that you've experienced firsthand?
No, I'm not. But people do some pretty bad stuff on that ride.
I tried to look very, very briefly for some ride footage there, and it's more popular on like Small World and some other rides. But I'm sure somewhere in the depths of TikTok, there's some Living with the Land videos out there.
Yeah, I want to say
Small World's been the big one though.
I don't think I've ever been. I know Three Caballeros. I've seen a couple of videos of some. Three Caballeros ruckus, yeah.
I mean, that makes sense. Sure, you got the tequila bar right there.
I'm pretty sure I was on it one time when someone got out towards, or I could be thinking of a video too, but
he goes so much that it all just blends together.
It does blend a little bit.
I mean, it makes sense, right? Three Caballeros totally makes sense. You got the tequila bar right there. Most of the activities going on in that building are kind of tequila related. So
you have some danger.
Ooh, boy, I mean, that's kind of World Showcase in general. I am surprised that there's not more shenanigans going on throughout World Showcase. I mean, I'm sure being a security guard at World Showcase is probably very entertaining in a good and bad way.
If you go enough, you're going to see quite a bit. I have seen a lot of people being taken out
rowdy,
by security. People so drunk they can't walk. So people do get pretty bad, for sure.
World Showcase, definitely. You don't see it as much in the Land Pavilion. I'd imagine maybe some.
You know what? Probably not in the Seas either.
No.
Probably not in the Imagination Pavilion.
Definitely not. Maybe the Imagination Pavilion. Maybe. I can maybe see it.
Have you been on Figment recently?
Not recently.
No.
Not recently.
Yeah. I went on that recently. Last 2 weeks ago.
Okay.
After not doing it probably for a year. So it's not like I never do it. I just don't do it often.
You talked me out of it last time we were at Epcot, and you told me absolutely not. So
yeah,
thanks, man.
There is this it's the same thing. There's like this cult love for Figment, which I get the idea of that.
I get it.
I get the idea of love for a icon, and a park icon. Orange Bird doesn't get the same amount of respect.
Sure.
But Figment does. Figment gets a lot of. I don't know when this Figment extra love started coming out. This has been fairly recent. Figment's always had people's
I would
hearts.
say it's very similar to Living with the Land. I think they both have risen to prominence in the same way around the same time. I think that there's kind of like a cult of Epcot starting to form within the last like 8 years or something.
I think this is a good point. I think we're looking at, I don't know. I don't really know how to say this, but I think the whole Disney adult concept is becoming more and more, I don't know, acceptable.
Yeah. I mean,
not even acceptable, but it's more, people are finding this, and I don't know if it's based on that people are looking for that nostalgia. If they're looking for positivity, a lot of people use Disney as kind of an escape from real life.
Sure.
And I don't know if just recent times people are like, I need to be doing this. But there's a lot of things in Epcot, you're right, that are kind of becoming very, very culty.
There's a cult of Epcot. I think it's all related to it's sort of why the rise of Marvel has happened over the last 10, 15 years. Marvel's always been very prominent, right? It's always been very sort of accepted, but more than ever accepted in sort of the millennial generation. And as the millennial generation grows up, it becomes more adult just by nature of them growing up. They like what they like. I think it's very similar in the Disney world, where you have a lot of millennials who were very fortunate enough to go to Disney fairly often as kids, and sort of take that with them into adulthood. So I think there are more than ever, there's more Disney adults. And just as we kind of change into a world of like, it's easier to get down to Florida or Anaheim to go to these parks, it's easier than ever to go overseas and go to one of those overseas parks too. Like, so,
yeah, it's easy. I mean, but we're also at a time where things are more expensive than they've ever been. But we still have people that find this and seek this out and really embrace it.
And I think the pandemic had a lot to do with that, because they took all that away from us for so long. There was a point like during the pandemic when I legit thought I would never see Galaxy's Edge. Like, I had not like an actual panic attack, but like man, I might never get down there. Like, if this thing never clears, or if my life never comes together in the proper way, and just like the priorities of people in general, just throughout the world, have sort of changed to where it's like, I would much rather go to the Disney park and spend my money in that way than like buy a new TV. I'll keep the TV I got. I'll take that money. I'll spend it at
right?
Epcot.
People have
I think
figured
people
it out
are more than ever. Yeah,
but we're also,
the thing.
We have more obviously Disney influencers and Disney
social media is huge.
Social media personalities than ever before, and Disney really accepts this. We were talking about this with Mr. Morrow the last time. He has a drink, his own drink at Epcot.
It's huge. And it's crazy.
He uses Disney for all his videos. Disney's not paying him.
But, no, it's the beautiful symbiotic relationship between the two of them.
It is.
He's doing,
it definitely is.
Talking about the product all the time.
But you have a lot more of that now. I mean, you had Disney Food Blog, right? That was the big Disney food YouTuber. And now you have so many people that go to Disney, and you have so much that is involved with Disney World specifically.
Yeah.
There's some, Disneyland people too, but Disney World
there's a lot of Disneyland people, like locals over there.
So
there's also, I don't know if you've heard of this, but there's these two schmucks on YouTube and on a lot of these podcast apps, and they just debate over the dumbest things. Like, it's getting crazy, man. It's getting wild. Diz or that podcast. It's it birthed this too. So it's
I caught on to that a few seconds after him. But the first time you said that, I was like, who are these guys? What are they doing? What are they doing?
Just two schmucks talking about nothing, man. Yeah. You know what I mean? It's but it's there's more ability to do stuff like this than ever, and there's more technology for us to be able to be, all up and down the East Coast, not just to get to the theme parks, but you're down there, I'm up in the Northeast, and we're still able to chat about this stuff. We're still able to do a lot of research and experience a lot of the park from home.
I read something recently that people also are really more into, and this doesn't, I think this more goes to why, people like YouTubers and Instagrammers more, is people are looking more for conversational type content as AI comes. All these blog posts online are clearly AI written.
Yeah.
And you're losing the heart of a lot of conversation and a lot of topics.
100%.
In articles and things like that. And I don't know. I don't know what's doing, but back to that, Epcot, Cult Park. Look,
the YouTubers have created a cult mentality around Epcot, and I'm a part of it. I subscribe to that, and I 100%.
Granted,
love that.
Epcot definitely has helped themselves. The festivals, they've been doing those for a while,
yeah.
But now the festivals are like, this is what Epcot is.
Sure.
Interesting. Now that we're going into the end of May, this is going to be the end of Flower Garden.
Yep.
And I don't know if you saw the timeline for Food and Wine, but that's not starting until August.
Interesting. When does that? Do you know when that normally starts up?
So it traditionally was prior to COVID, and then once COVID happened, it was like festival all the time. We're never not having a festival.
That makes sense.
It started, I think, in June last year, maybe.
Yeah.
So
that would make
now
sense.
we're going to have 2 months of regular Epcot, which we have not had since COVID. We haven't.
Yeah. We're probably just finally back to that. They don't need any sort of extra gimmick to draw people in. So this is just, here's regular old Epcot. And
it's interesting. It's just interesting. Yeah. You just have so many less options for those drinks and the fun little food things that they're still there. It's just going to be probably a little more longer lines than the places that do have it. It's going to be a bit of a different experience. And that was my experience last time we went in between festivals. It's still obviously nice. It's just definitely not the same. Almost
spoiled by the festivals.
Yeah, for sure. After going to every festival multiple times, when you go to Epcot, it's part of the fun is the festival. You have all these food options, and it changes, and it's fun, and new booths pop up, but when it's not there, you really see what you're missing out on.
Interesting. It will be interesting to go because last time I went, it was Food and Wine.
Yeah, and, you just don't have the small bite options. You don't have, you need to get food. If you get food, you gotta get food. Like big food.
If you're getting food, you're getting food.
You gotta get big food. You can't get regular small food. Chris
loves tiny food. That's his thing. Tiny food and fish. You give him tiny fish food, he's a happy boy.
And I'm gonna be going to get and this is the non-festival special, the London fish and chips.
Hey, enjoy them. I hope they're good. I hope they're tiny.
A lot of British eating those fish and chips. I don't know if you've ever noticed. I've never noticed that. There's a lot of them. A lot of the British. If you're there, you're going to be hearing British people eating fish and chips.
They must be good. They must be authentic then, right? That's got to be a good sign.
I don't know, but I say this. I say you come all this way. Come all this way. That's me and Katie's joke.
Spending money, flying down, and then just going to hang out at the America Pavilion for a whole weekend.
When we went to Germany, and Katie's like, "I need to go to McDonald's."
Did she really want to go to McDonald's?
Granted, it was for a coffee, but we did pass quite a few coffee shops.
Interesting.
Yeah, but we went to McDonald's.
An interesting move, Katie.
It is fun. They had McRib. I think they have a McRib all the time. I love the McRib.
You love a Mc special. That is true. Yeah.
I do.
That's and it's kind of cool to go somewhere like that and go to a McDonald's because it does feel like a little place of America, just like
a little bit
sliced out of anywhere you go. We're gonna have to go try that spaghetti or whatever that's down by you in one of the McDonald's, right? We were talking about that last time we were there.
McDonald's.
We just got to go there in general next time I'm down, but the spaghetti, is that real? Is that a thing? Because I'm not going to believe it till I see it.
They have omelets as well.
Put it in my face.
They have omelets. I don't know if you're a big omelet guy, but they have omelets.
But
the spaghetti, they have pasta options there.
That's cool, man. That's cool. I know some of the foreign McDonald's do because that's a very big thing in some other countries. But
I think
pasta.
Philippines. I know it's
mixed spaghetti. That sounds right. I'm interested to taste what that sauce tastes like, man. Is it going to be good? Is it going to be like SpaghettiOs, what?
No, it's probably,
what are we dealing with?
It's probably like a chunky kind of sauce, I would think.
Like a Sparrows.
I'm looking at it right now. It looks fine.
That's all I need.
Don't know. For a guy that eats spaghetti almost 2 to 3 times a week, which I do.
Hey, fair. Yeah.
I've had spaghetti already this week a couple times. I eat it a lot. I eat different variations of spaghetti. I eat spaghetti with different types of sauces.
This man.
Not only spaghetti. I like penne. I like.
He likes all the forms of pasta.
Fettuccine. I do. I'm a pasta freak. So, but I'm unsure. I have gotten the chili spaghetti at Steak and Shake. And that's the favorite. But like a red sauce spaghetti with cheese at McDonald's, it'd be interesting.
It would be. Be very interesting.
It'd be interesting.
I'm trying to think of a segue on how to get us back on track into this debate, but it's tough, man. We have derailed big time. We've done this a few times. I'm not mad about it. But what are we fighting? What episode are we on? It's Turtle Talk versus Monsters Laugh Floor. We're talking about Soarin.
No, I know what we're talking about. I know what.
I thought you forgot what the episode was.
I don't know what we were saying that.
Why we're talking about Epcot. Here? Yeah, we're talking about Epcot. We're talking about the festivals. Festival season.
Sure. That really got onto.
We went somewhere, man. We went on a ride.
To mix spaghetti there. They also
quite a time.
Oh yeah, but back to Epcot before we go back to. Now we're making our way back. We're back in Epcot now.
We're getting closer.
I think the drink around the world shirt, that was like the first like cult like experience.
The beginning of the cult experience.
I think it was.
I would kind of agree with you on that. That's not a bad starting point of that.
That's how you see the evolution of Epcot as a fun adult place.
Yes.
Before that, you didn't have that. It was a rumor that you could drink around the world. It was a rumor.
Yeah.
And now it's you. I play a game where every time I see one of those shirts, I take a drink. So in fact, I do tend to drink around the world just looking at the damn shirts.
Way. Yeah, that's got to be rough, dude.
It is wild. It is.
There's a lot of those.
You would be surprised. I see a lot of shirts now that I go so much, but that is at Epcot. That is still like the Epcot shirt. Is the drink around the world, the one where they bring the Sharpie out, they check it off on their shirt. That's still huge.
I've seen. You can just go on Etsy. You can see all of the stuff they have on Etsy of that.
They have guys doing like the tallies too. They have the gang. I saw like in Always Sunny, the gang drinks around Epcot.
Oh, yep.
And they were tallying like in the Boggs episode on their shirts, the beers they were drinking. So, which is
a good way to just like get yourself cut off. I feel like,
I was gonna say it tends to be quite incriminating when you're sloppy and you need to argue that you're not. So.
Because I've seen several videos of people trying to drink around the world and like not even being disrespectful about it or like going too crazy, but just like one at every country. And it can get bad.
I don't know if we watched together. I also saw a guy that they were working on drinking around the world, and
we're probably talking about the same one.
He got cut off. Yeah.
I think we might have sent that video back and forth to each other. It was a great video. It was like fun and funny. And I don't even think they were being like that crazy about it, but like, yeah, when you have, how many countries are there? 11? Like when you have 11 mixed drinks or something all the way around the world, it depends on how long you space that out. It's not going to be pretty. Like that's tough, man. I'm all for having fun. Love people to do that. Drinking around the world is like a great concept and idea, but like a little too much for me, to be honest.
You need to hydrate. It's so hot in Florida that you need to be having a water in between every drink. You need to.
Absolutely. And like honestly, maybe replace one of those drinks with a food item every couple countries or something.
If you do that, if you're eating enough and drinking enough water, it's hard to get drunk at Epcot.
Yeah, and I think that's what Disney wants, and that's probably where they need to keep that. So hopefully people are smart about it. But again, one place you don't end up seeing too many people being that crazy is the Land Pavilion. Especially when you're hopping on a ride like Soarin', because not that thing is going too crazy, but it is a fairly thrilling experience when you put it up against some of the other stuff
probably get more
in the Land.
On Soarin',
I would imagine if out of all the things you can do at the Land,
puking.
That's probably the one that happens. You know what else you get there? You get a whole bunch of different ride variations on there. At least 2. I know that there's multiple different versions of the film though. You have Soarin' Around the World, which is available in multiple other parks. I believe it's, if my notes are correct, it's in 4 parks. You have California Adventure, you have Epcot, you have Shanghai, and Tokyo Sea all have a Soarin' in them. And they cycle between California Adventure and Soarin' Around the World. But some of the ones overseas, Tokyo and Shanghai, they have modifications, I believe. I believe it's very similar to Soarin' Around the World, but it has modifications to make it sort of local for those parks, which is very interesting and very unique. And it's one thing that is missing from something like Living with the Land. It's not at any other park, right?
It's fun.
It's just at Epcot, right?
Yeah, I mean, I can say that about Ratatouille not having different videos. You know, it's different. But
it's at least at 2 parks. It's at multiple parks, right?
It is its own thing. You know, Soarin'. Soarin' could fit in any park.
It would
does.
In a way. California Adventure made a whole lot of sense putting it there. Tokyo Sea, I think, makes sense putting it there.
Well, California Adventure is just it's just like what Universal does with Islands of Adventure. It's just like, this is just a name for the park.
Yes, but the concept at first of California Adventure was to be a celebration of California. The ride was invented to celebrate California.
Initially, yeah.
That's why it's called Soaring Over California.
Initially,
fits extremely well in that park, better than any other park, really. Soaring Around the World made a whole lot of sense when they were bringing it to Epcot, because again, around the world, right? I don't think that Soaring Over California is, I think they do Soaring Over the World at California Adventure a lot of the time. I would almost rather it just stay Soaring Over California and then Epcot be Soaring Over the World and having unique films at each one of them, cycling them out a little bit. But I think that the nature of having it be available to be upgraded and to change the film is like such a big plus.
I think it would be fun if they did kind of like a new one, maybe upgraded the screen a little bit to fit the current technology. I mean, we're looking at what, 20 years now?
Laser projectors in them. It is upgraded from the original sort of IMAX stuff. There's probably more technology that they could do. They could probably go up. I don't know if they would want to go to like an LED wall technology yet. I think projection might be better for that style ride. I'm not sure what they do at Avatar, but whatever they're doing at Flight of Passage, they could probably mimic something like that. Don't give me 3D though. And I know that the 3D on Avatar is good. I like the way that the Soarin' ride is right now. No glasses,
I wouldn't
nothing,
do 3D.
Yeah.
It's not the experience. I don't want that. It doesn't, the way Soarin' is set up, it's not required you to be going in between trees and going under waves. That's not what Soarin' is. Soarin' doesn't claim to do that. So 3D would not make sense for that ride anyways. But yeah, I mean, I really don't want any more 3D than already is at Disney. 3D itself, I think, is an old ride technology.
In a way.
It is. It's like 3D TVs. It's gimmicky.
Yeah, I think that there's just better ways to do it now with like multi-layered screens and stuff. I think there's just a lot of other technology that you can kind of get closer to some of that. And like the magic of just not having to wear glasses on a ride.
I would probably say that, and this is my my bet here, that my hot take. Take, what's it called? Not when you make a bet. I don't know words that well, clearly. I can't think of words on the top of my head. But I'm going to say that the Flight of Passage is going to be the last Disney ride at Disney World. We'll say Disney World. The last Disney World ride that has glasses. Not counting Ratatouille, because Ratatouille is an older ride. That was an old
ride that got brought over. There. Yeah.
So, but I think Avatar is going to be the last 3D glasses ride at Disney.
I don't doubt that. I don't doubt that at all. I'm trying to think of like what's in the pipeline that they might have been talking about, but I can't think of anything that would require a 3D element like that. And I just don't think they're going to want to go there after like all of the work that they've done in Rise of the Resistance and Mickey and Minnie's. I think the two of them that have some of that multi-layered screen kind of stuff, I think this works fairly well. Love or hate the CG, filmed screen stormtroopers and Kylo Ren and Hux in Rise of the Resistance, but like those are doing multi-level trickery things to try to help you
I
feel.
would still much rather have that than putting on a pair of 3D glasses in that ride to see something
agree.
that's not going to add to the experience.
I would 100% agree. I think there's even more that they can do with that technology. I think we're just scratching the surface with a lot of that. And so I'm really interested to see like what the next generation of it will look like.
Yeah, and
I think it'll look
I don't even know.
pretty good.
I'm thinking of Universal.
Yeah.
If they do, does the Mario Kart ride, is that 3D?
Mario Kart does have, I believe it has like a face shield that's supposed to be like a kart helmet. So like a little different. It's the same kind of thing. But
Universal itself has put a lot of money into that 3D tech.
Yeah. Which it's like sometimes it works. Dude, when we were on Gringotts the last time I was down, there are moments where like I like was looking at Voldemort and it felt like Voldemort was right there. It felt so good. But then like 1 millisecond later and everything gets fuzzy and blurry and like it just did not look good.
That's the biggest problem with 3D. And it doesn't, you need to make a glass eye. You need to have a pair of glasses, there we go, that fits everyone's face.
Fits everybody's face,
and that
fits
looks
over
good.
Other glasses, like
there's no easy way to do that.
It's just not.
There's no good way to do it, and I don't want to wear like glasses on something if I don't need them.
Yeah,
I
would just rather not have it. Like I would rather not have the 3D element to a certain degree. Like do something else. You can do so much too with like projection mapping and things. Like you can't do everything like you could with like AR, like augmented reality, but there's a lot that you could do that I think would work really, really well. At the end of the day,
Soarin doesn't need it.
Soarin doesn't have 3D. I'm a happy boy.
I wouldn't.
I will take a curvy Eiffel Tower than a blurry Eiffel Tower. So
I don't disagree with that either.
Yeah, but I've heard that the 3D looks pretty good on Avatar. I don't want to like downplay Flight of Passage.
It's different. It took that technology and did something very different with it while also doing the same thing.
That's the Disney magic, man. Just do something similar but different,
what you
right?
know,
just keep iterating on those things. Keep making it just half a percentage better. All right. Now, I just have a few final things for Soarin'. And, they are what they are. You took my big trump card, so I can't lay the smack down on you there.
Just go for it. What do you got?
Here's what I like, man. The variety that you get in scenery, I think is really, really great. I get it. We're going through different things. It's a different ride experience, all of that. But like the ability to be in a very snowy, like environment to go right to a nice, warm, tropical environment, I think is just such a cool experience to be able to fly back and forth between those in the same ride, but then taking that a step further. And I am sure that some of this is implemented in Living with the Land, but the scent technology in Soarin' is top notch, man. Like feeling like you're there. The fact that they're already kind of blowing some wind on you already to get you into that I'm flying sort of thing.
I like the sense.
And then implementing the sense.
I like the sense.
That are just so specific and so unique.
And
not saying that Living with the Land doesn't have something similar built in. Yeah, but it's just not, I don't feel like it's the same. I don't crave the sort of orange grove smell that I do.
No, that's like different.
Soarin'.
And you can also get that from Magic Candle Company. However,
absolutely you can.
However, and
there's no Living with the Land candle, is there? So
be honest, I don't know.
Actually, don't know. I didn't look that up.
I'm not knocking this at all. I'm not knocking what you're saying because it's a really cool. Really, there's not a lot of rides. Figment is the only other ride I can think of that does. Oh, and Birth, all rides.
Yeah,
that
and
have
there's a few
technology.
Of them here, there, and I think a lot of the rides have some element of it, but like Soarin' is very predominant.
But yeah, Soarin', I mean, classically is the scent ride. What I don't love about Soarin' scents, and I'm not so don't come at me, but I want you to agree with this. How loud the scent pumps are when they I don't know if you know what I'm talking about, but when you hear those pumps. See, come after me, knocking it. You'll hear them. They're like, psh, psh, psh. They're like, the scent pumps are pretty loud. They're louder than they should be.
That, like I'll give it to you.
I'm not making a point.
You're just stating a fact.
I'm saying a fact. I just think it's funny when you're riding and that's what
I don't know. There's
it's
a
funny,
weird,
and then you end something. It's like
there's a weird dopamine hit. I think that like they have like Pavlovian like response trained us to just like whenever I hear that sound, I know something good's coming my way. You know,
I'm pretty sure it's the same sound they do when they have you smell skunk.
Oh, I'm sure.
Same thing.
I'm sure it's the same machines pumping out the same.
Yeah.
Hey man, but it's not. I mean, like I get it. It's noticeable. And like we could probably put up a poll on that if it's noticeable, if it's not noticeable, if it distracts you, if it doesn't distract you. But I feel like it's all kind of a part of that experience. I pretend like there's some sort of like jetpack or something being boosted to get us to the next area. I don't know. It's a very easy thing for my brain to write off, to be honest.
Yeah, you can role play. Role's fine.
Oh yeah,
that's
we're
nice.
Role playing it,
that's
right?
Fine.
Just like when you're living with the land, you know.
When you live in the land, I mean, you do get some different environments. You get to go through a rainforest.
There's a few of them. Yeah,
you get to go through a few different cool atmospheres. You know, and I
definitely some
atmospheres. No, biomes. Maybe I'm looking for.
Yeah, biomes.
Cool different biomes. You know, and then you have the experience is not one experience the entire time.
No,
you gain kind of a mix of like a dark ride.
It's
a mix of a boat ride, and then a mix of like almost like a immersive garden show.
I would say this is a little bit of a stretch.
No.
Yeah. I mean, a dark ride and a boat ride are very much the same thing. We wouldn't call Pirates both a dark ride and boat ride. Like they're one thing.
It's a dark boat ride.
It's a dark boat ride. Yeah. So that's, I understand where we're getting at there. Boat. There is like,
well, I'm not saying I'm those are one thing, but you get that, and then you get to go through these little environments, and you get to have a dark ride experience, and then you go your way into the light, and you get to see these new technologies
into the big plant room.
Growing,
yeah.
And
is there a name for that area in that ride? Like for that dome? Is there a I just don't know.
It's called
a dome. The dome.
The dome.
Yeah. The dome. I mean, it is impressive, man. When you like enter into that and you kind of feel the awe of that room, like
that's cool.
That is a nice. You just almost don't expect it when you're on that the first time. Kind of like you just don't expect the immenseness of Soarin'. That really took me for a whirl the first time I was on it. I just didn't. My little brain did not wrap around what I was about to experience and like how I was going to be lifted up in the air like that in this big dome. Sometimes, man, like big enough screens, like I've been to like 1 or 2 IMAX screens that like have almost frightened me. That's how big they are. Like there's a weird, I might have some sort of phobia that I don't know about, but like that kind of stuff. It's impressive, but it's also put some fear into me. I kind of like that. I kind of like that feeling.
It's a cool experience for sure.
I get that on Living with the Land. When you enter that room and it's that big, you kind of get that little bit of like, oh my god, this is
it's just for the clouds open up in Soarin'. The clouds open up, and then the music. I mean, the music is also top notch.
The music is.
I don't know if you're going to mention that, but the Soarin' music itself is very, very nice.
I think it's great. There's a lot of cool pieces that they were using for the queue in California. I don't know if they're the same ones they were using in Disney World or not. But you know what? As far as music goes, I think one of the biggest travesties, even more so than the whole like no skipper thing on Living with the Land, was that theme song. Have you heard the theme song?
The original
Living with the Land? Yeah, the OG one.
Yeah.
Why did they get rid of it?
Replace it with the thunder. I don't know.
I mean, come on, man. That's like, I know it's like corny.
I will say,
is like Carousel of Progress. So it's like that's like a Disney magic.
Both of these rides themselves have pretty weak queues.
They do. Can't even. That's why I didn't want to bring it up.
You can't. They're both super boring queues.
I will say though, I think Soarin' takes it though. I think by just
Soarin' only does because you have that little game that shows up.
Cool game thing
that shows up. Yeah, that's the only
interactive experience.
Otherwise, that can be a painfully long, and that ride queue is a lot longer generally than.
And that's fair.
Living with the Land.
That is fair, but I think Living with the Land, unfortunately, it is just so painfully dull. At least you get in like the pre-show area, you get like some theming. You don't get a lot of theming in the line for Soarin', but like at least you get some where like I don't really feel like you get much of
They're
anything.
giving you like, this is an airplane, you're going on an airplane, this is an airport. I wish they give you a little bit more of that. I think that would be fun, because you have like Patrick Warburton being the chief flight attendant.
The only thing I can think is that the stupid digital games on the wall or whatever, they do have those at like airports now. When you walk through like a long hallway, there's always some form of like
I wish it seemed a little more. I wish
the only thing.
It would have been cool if you went like down like a gangway into like a cockpit, or I don't know.
Wouldn't it be cool if you had to go through TSA before you got there?
TSA would make it more
like
fun.
Randomly pulled out.
You have to go through 9 hours of a special security check. That'd be fun.
You got your TSA pre-check and you're just in a lightning lane. You're just like fast passing it. That'd be sick. That'd be hilarious.
That would be fun. Was Soarin ever sponsored, or is it sponsored by anyone right now?
I would imagine that Soarin had to be sponsored at some point. I mean, the Land Pavilion was sponsored, I believe. I mean, all the pavilions and stuff were sponsored at some point. I don't know who it was. I don't know what it was. I don't know if Soarin' over California was sponsored at some point, but
Living with the Land had a few sponsors. It still does have a few sponsors.
I don't know if there's any sponsor for Soarin', because usually like one will stick out to me somewhere. Like there's always references somewhere, and I just don't know if there are any references to a sponsor in Soarin'.
I don't think it does.
If anything, it has to be like an air travel company that maybe has snuck a few things in there. That would sound about right to me, but I don't know.
Disney, Soarin' over California was at Epcot from September 22nd to February 27th, and I didn't go on it.
Yeah. Oh, you didn't know that?
I knew it, but
that's a big deal, man.
I know. I don't know why. Maybe because the lines were so long for it.
Could be.
I went to Epcot so many times. So many times.
People are making a huge deal of this. People were coming down to catch it before it left. Like, people were making specific trips for it. Yeah.
Nestle was the original sponsor
of the Land Pavilion, because that sounds about right.
It just says ride sponsor.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that would make sense.
Nestle also did the Living with the Land. They were for a little bit, which was awful considering how much damage they do to the environment.
Hey, sure.
But
no, I'm pretty sure that they might have sponsored the entire pavilion at one point. I feel like I remember seeing
they could have crafted Living in the Land before, and now it's Chiquita's Bananas.
That makes more sense.
It makes more sense.
Yeah, some of the other stuff at the Land Pavilion too, craft would very much make sense in that that department. So that all tracks to me. That all tracks. Interesting. Very, very interesting. I wonder if there's some hidden references within Soarin' that I'm just not aware of. It has to be somewhere, because there's always one remaining. They can never usually pull every bit of every sponsor out of there. There's always something. Interesting. So I'm running low as far as things that I prepared for this debate. I think that a few of my things, I mean, Patrick Warburton alone, I think could win every debate that we have. Just if he's involved, it's an automatic win.
It's fun.
I love my ride. I think my ride is great. Like I'm talking about, the scent technology is cool. I don't care about curvy Eiffel Towers. I think the dome is so impressive. The ride system is so impressive. It's thrills,
the dome is impressive.
It's impressive.
The
it's so cool.
Is impressive.
The ability to change the ride, the ability to upgrade that thing, I really hope to a certain degree. Would love to see some new projectors and some new projection technology.
I think that would
just keep updating the ride.
That would
keep
do
it there.
That would do
I don't want it to go away. I want it to stay. There are some other rides at some other parks that I would be fine if they got rid of them. This is not one of them. Keep it here for as long as we humanly possibly can, and just give me some new video. I think that's not that difficult in today's modern.
I think it would be valuable for
I think it would be
there,
good.
But
I think that Living with the Land could use some updates as well, and this isn't a knock on that. I think that it's proven that it is a strong ride. This cult of Epcot that we've talked about has worshipped at the altar.
It brings a lot of people. It brings a lot of people. There's a lot of things people really like about this.
I think bring back the song and maybe refresh a couple bits, maybe add something cool, maybe keep a lot of what's there, because I think you will hear uproar if you do too much work to it. But like,
can't change too much. You have a whole experience built in with it. You're basically riding through part of the restaurant out there, see the people up there. So there's only so much you can do, and only so much I think you want to do it. Something like that. It's like how much are you gonna upgrade
Sure. And there's talks about that. And that's supposedly coming. So, which I don't hate. I think it might be nice.
I never hate progress for Disney rides. I don't hate improving on them. If they could do it to Splash Mountain, they can do it to any ride now, right?
Sure. Yeah, they've really broken that.
Well, it's
barrier.
and I've said it before. It kind of goes back to the vision that Walt Disney had, which was he wanted constant change. He wanted things to constantly be changing and in development. He didn't want a ride to stay the same forever. He wanted it to be upgraded and to change and to and Epcot's about that. So I would welcomely add some differences, and some things to refresh it a little bit,
That's
it up a little bit.
Needs.
And
it's
that's
essentially just a coat of paint with some new technology. Like
you don't really need to do much to Soarin'. You don't. With the way that it works, it's one of those technologies that as long as you have a good video, it's going to work all the time.
Which I think, that's probably where they need to focus the most attention, is maybe just upgrading that video, giving us some more variation.
You have all these nice real videos. I don't love CGI Taj Mahal.
Sure. That is one of the biggest
so many complaints. So many good real footage. But the CGI in that is still very noticeable. I don't hate the boat racing.
Yeah,
or whatever they're doing.
Whatever's
voyaging.
Going on there.
I don't know. I have no idea, but it's just so obvious.
Yeah,
and it's a 20-year-old video.
So here's my solution, and I was trying to wrap this video up, but I will throw this out. Here's the solution. Here's how you make Soarin', take it to the next level. We all know how Soarin' works, and it rides the same path every time you go on it, unless it's California versus Soarin' Around the World. Star Tours that thing, man. Star Tours operates where it has a bunch of different sequences that all kind of can randomly intermingle in between each other.
They could
do an update on Soarin' and randomize it to bring you to a whole bunch of different places every time you go on.
Add some new things on, and that's becoming, I think, like you said. I mean, whole Star Tours has been like that, but now new Star Tours, but also the song on Guardians. That's a huge thing for people. Everyone rides it for a different experience, just for a different ride.
Rock and Roller Coaster. You have the different up and down motions of the Tower of Terror that randomizes itself.
It's never the same thing, and that's fun. Yeah, that's fun. It's fun. Very goes a long way for people that go a lot of the time.
Re-rideability, I think, is interesting, but in a way that isn't as noticeable. I think something like somebody going on Star Tours this year and then doesn't get back to the parks for the next 5 to 10 years, goes on Star Tours again, it might feel like a different experience because you went to some different places, but at the same time, the heart of it is still there. You still felt like you went on Star Tours. I think the same thing could be applied to Soarin', that could just take that ride to the next level. It's already kicking Living with the Land's behind, but man, we could just get we could get to that next level, man.
Not true, but I'll let you have that. I'll let you think whatever you want to think. Good ride, but do you
have any final points for Living with the Land before we wrap up our 11th episode of this podcast?
I don't think so. I think I got a lot out there. A lot of Living with the Land out there.
I think you fought a good fight, and these polls, I think, more than anything, will be interesting. This isn't I don't think this is going to be one we're going to be able to predict because of that cult of Epcot, man. Soarin' has so much love. It's such a good ride, but Living with the Land has so many cult followers that we could just get a lot of people coming out of the woodwork for this thing.
It is different. As I knew Space Mountain has the name.
Yeah.
Everyone knows Space Mountain. Even if you've never been to Disney World, you know Space Mountain. Soarin's a little bit different. You people that don't really know anything about Disney,
they're not really in the know. Not the same
Soarin's it's not the same way that Space Mountain is.
Yeah.
And so in that way it might be a little bit different, but we'll see. It's a very different. I mean, obviously Soarin's the same way. It has and I'm one of them too. I love going on Soarin'. I'll go on every single time I go to Epcot.
It's a great ride.
It's good ride. Because you need air conditioning sometimes. You need to get off your feet for a little bit. Both rides do that. Both rides do it very good.
And the Land Pavilion is just top notch, man. The Land Pavilion is one of my favorites. I have such distinct memory of that place. This is going to be super interesting to see what people say, because the Land Pavilion's loved, Soarin's loved, and Living with the Land is definitely loved. I would be interested to see how many of the culty people for Living with the Land just pull all their friends in to come vote on this poll. Once word gets out there, out in the Diziverse, it's going to go everywhere, man.
You would sure hope so.
People are going to be voting in this thing, and you can vote for this poll right now. Should be up right now if you're listening to this on day one, and we'll probably have it popping up a few more days too. You can participate in that poll at Diz or That Pod on Instagram. That's DIS Diz or That Pod. Find us there on Instagram. That's where our polls go. All of our links are going to be there as well. If you're more of a TikTok user, feel free to hop on over there. We do have some stuff on over there for you as well. If you want to listen to this podcast, if you're watching a video of it, but you'd rather listen to it on audio, you can check us out on just about any podcasting app. And if you would like to see our faces and you want to see some video of this bad boy, go on over to YouTube, do all the stuff there, subscribe, like, hit the bell, do the works like everybody else tells you, but make sure to go check out our video versions only exclusively on YouTube.
Or just give it a view, give it a view, like.
Yeah, we could use it.
Give us a subscribe.
We could use it. It's great. It's nice. Leave us a comment. Let us know what you guys want to see in the future.
We don't
want
beg
ideas.
Often. We don't beg often.
This is the one time.
We can leave beg
some
a little
comments, leave some likes, maybe even leave a review on a podcasting platform.
Preferably 5 stars.
Preferably, but if you want to leave us 4, I guess you can. But
don't love it. 5 is
yeah.
5 is great.
Really hurts the algorithm, man.
You know,
4 us proud.
Yeah, well.
Anyway, we hope you guys have been enjoying us. We want to thank our sponsor, the Magic Candle Company. Make sure to go check out all of their products, and you can save 15% off by using our discount code DEBATE. Do it. You're going to be happy you did. Thank you all for joining us once again on our 11th episode of Diz or That Podcast, the happiest debate on earth.
This podcast was brought to you by the Magic Candle Company. Relive your favorite theme park memories through the magical sense of smell. Receive 15% off at checkout by using discount code DEBATE and help our channel in the process.